Hey, y'all.
Some of that. Get situated here.
Hey, Brent. Hey, Steve.
Hope everyone's doing well.
Unfortunately, I only recommend Rick is a few of these names. You're the one that knows all the names.
Ooh, what inspired you to make this channel?
Her.
I made the channel. Chris wouldn't know how to log on to YouTube if I asked him to.
Well, Brent, that was the part 4 was we filmed that yesterday, and we also did a video on Dimaco, Colt Canada military weapons. So you guys have asked for that for quite some time. So we're going to be going over the Dimaco military rifles. Not everything that they've done, but the ones that were used by the military Canada.
I think that's the one that I'm editing right now,
Is it?
actually.
Michigan.
So, you'll have a new video this weekend. Hey, Carrie.
Aim low. Carrie, we just got in one of the Glock 5As, the new one that the Air Force is. I'm sorry, that the Air Force is using. I just got to pick it up from Brandon. And we'll be doing a review on that once we can get back out to the range.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna get going here. We have a couple of questions that were submitted earlier today. I'm going to pop the donate link into the chat right now. You can use that link and put your question in the note section of donation, and I'll get an email, and my phone's right here, and you'll just get priority over everyone else. You don't have to pay to have your question answered. It's just, a good way to support Small Arm Solutions and what we're doing tonight. And you can also use the $, and you'll also get priority over all the questions that'll be coming in tonight. But Google takes 30%, which is pretty awful. That's why Donor Box is our what we would prefer if you would use. But either way, it doesn't matter. We're just glad you're here.
Miami.
Steve, what weight buffer would be feasible when running a 16-inch 5.56 barrel with a mid-length gas system and the DS Arms lightweight aluminum BCG?
If it's a government profile, an H. If it's a heavy barrel like a SOCOM barrel with an H2, but my guess is it's probably going to be government, so probably an H.
And Kirk, you also, well, not really a question. You submitted a nice little note to Chris, and I sent that to him earlier, and we're going to send you an email separately from the chat. Anytime I even cough a little bit, I'm like Corona. Someone was asking in here, I don't know where it's at, but they were asking, George wants to know how your back's doing.
It's one of those things that just will never be right. It causes problems, and unfortunately, I think it's this is always going to be forever. So it never really healed up like they said it was going to. They said it'd be bad, would get back to normal, but still putting socks on in the morning and putting shoes on. There's the most difficult things I got to do every day.
Just an old man.
Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. And those of you who sent birthday wishes, thank you so much.
Oh, yes.
And there was a couple of you guys who even sent me Whataburger gift cards. Can I tell you how great that was? Thank you so much.
It was a little rough for me because I put that out last year, and the guys liked to send money for whiskey, cigars, and Whataburger and stuff like that. This year was a little, I know it's a different time to ask for something like that.
Yes.
Yoga is great for the back. I actually do yoga. I've tried to get him.
Yoga wouldn't work for me. I got 2 rods back there. I can only bend so much.
He thinks that, never mind. We'll get into a whole thing. I'll save you guys from that. When did the M16A1 get a trapdoor buttstock retro build from my grandpa?
Probably around the 68, 69 time period. That was when it was after the congressional hearings and once they introduced the cleaning kits. There were M16A1s, early ones that did not have the trapdoor.
I have a C39V2 I bought when they first released, never fired. I'm seeing they may be, quote, ticking time bombs. Any advice?
What's that one again?
Right here.
Give me some. Give me. I don't recognize the nomenclature, so can you go ahead
Trapper
and
John.
give me some more details on what you're talking about there, for as far as what the gun is?
Aaron says I'm waiting on the Colt 6920 video.
That's going to be coming up in part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that'd be part 5. That'll be not the one coming up where we did right now, but the next that'll be on the Colt LE series and the commercial series after Colt finally got their shit together and stopped the Match Target series. But that's coming up.
I'm seeing a couple of repeat questions. Please, the chat just got started. If you ask your question multiple times, it makes me lose where I'm at, and then other people don't get their questions answered, and it's just annoying. So please don't. If it's been several minutes, sure, but spamming the chat, your question is not going to get an answer any quicker. Federal Hydro Shock, good for duty use. I'm a security guard, and I picked up the 155 grain 40.
Oh, absolutely. Hydroshock is probably one of the first true hollow points. Now, I will say the Federal HST is really good as well. The HST is pretty much taken over for the Hydroshock. You don't see Hydroshock in use as much anymore. But oh, absolutely, I would definitely recommend it as an excellent defense gun, defense round.
Back to Trapper John, he's talking about Century Arms C39V2 AK-47.
Oh, I don't think you're going to have any safety issues with it. The biggest issue is going to be is you're going to have a front sight base that's canted. Um, they do test fire that stuff when it comes out. Is it the greatest quality out there? No. Um, I would, just for the hell of it, start off with just putting 1 or 2 rounds in the magazine just to make sure that you don't get any fire on release with it, just to be safe. But other than that, I wouldn't think there'd be too much of an issue.
Logan, what would go in the trapdoor buttstock M16A1? I have an original 1971 dated cleaning kit that came in the Alice pouch. Where were the kits stored?
Well, basically what you had was, if you go to my Vietnam video, you'll see a picture of it. There was a sort of a long triangular shaped pouch which you stuck the rods, the cleaning brush, a chamber brush, a eyelet holder, and a small bottle of lubricant that you stuck in that package. That went in the back of the buttstock when you close the door. So yeah, the Alice was what went on your belt, but this is an actual pouch that went inside the back of the buttstock. So if you're looking for one that's more modern, you just look for rifle buttstock. You can Google that. Otis has one, but it's not. It's not Vietnam era. They're using the pull cord. It's not the same. But you can find a lot of those GI surplus ones still to this date. You can still find them. Just buttstock cleaning kit. Just Google that. You'll find it.
Brent wants to know, is your range still open during this restricted travel period?
To my understanding, it's still closed. I may have to get a hold of the owner, see about going out there, because I got quite a bit of stuff here that needs to be shot. And if they can open it up for me, and just so me and my son can go out there, there's no risk. So we can go out.
I might actually go with you this time.
Wow. It's been so long.
Stop it.
So I'm hoping that maybe to get out next week.
Yeah, he has a different relationship with the people at the range where he can get access to it when maybe other people can't. So
yeah, they're really good to me there.
Yeah. Dustin wants to know, what's the verdict on the M16 in Vietnam video. To all you guys who aren't on Patreon, I mean, you should be on Patreon, but who aren't, I did have a poll there 2 or 3 weeks ago asking what everyone's opinion would be if we decided to redo our most popular video, what happened with the M16 in Vietnam. And because that was one of our very first video, I can literally remember it. I was sitting on ammo boxes with an iPad, holding it and trying not to shake it, because I had
for so long too.
Yeah, for hours. I had no stand or anything, trying not to cover where the the audio was coming from, and um, what if we redid that in today's format with better, lighting and video and audio, and or do you just leave the original alone?
Well, sort of where I'm
So
at with it is, if I got new stuff to put out for you guys, I want to put out the new stuff. If I come to a lull at some point where I don't have anything, to do for you, I can see doing it. At the moment, I just can't justify redoing something that's still doing well. I mean, people do have to understand that it is one of our first videos. I mean, it's very different from the quality that we have right now. But I just can't justify redoing something when I still have new stuff. When a time does come where I do have a lull, then we may consider doing it.
I can remember the very start of the channel too. He's like, I don't have much stuff to do, Heather. Like, this is not, and now he just has too much to do. But I just thought it would be great to kind of do almost a retake of it.
Well,
Brent
back
says
in
yes, redo it and add revised content.
well, back in those days, I
Even
didn't
though he
have.
says that he can't, the information hasn't changed. I guarantee once he
It
sits
really
out and
hasn't.
does it, he'll still be able to maybe articulate it in a way that he didn't the first time.
Yeah.
I think so. And filming him, I like to see him in topics that I call are like magic. When I can film him and sit down, and I know that this is going to be an editing dream because he just blows through it, and he can talk about something for 45 minutes without coming up for air or stutters, and it's filming magic. So I kind of like to go back to those places. I also talked to him about doing maybe and we haven't had that revised conversation about it, so I'll bring everybody else in on that, of taking Black Rifle, the book, and making it a video series, almost like going through the book and kind of the history and technical end of it, and as a series. But he was like, "That's possible." That was it. That usually, generally, is what conversations are when I have ideas for videos. It's the same with the crime series. Oh yeah, maybe later. and,
We're doing it.
and now I make him do that.
In
The
fact,
M14. No, I'm not going to do that for literally a year.
it's about to hit 500,000 views.
Yeah. So the stuff that I come up with,
People said some very nasty things to me too.
but hey, it's good for the channel. I like doing things that are controversial. Black Rifle 2, the movie. Do it. See? Carrie says it's the original, that is history. Don't be like Lucas in Star Wars. When did chrome lining in M16s become common?
Well, after the government was forced to do it, I would probably say the late 60s, probably 69, 68, 69, 70. In that time period, they got the technology to do it and do it right. So after it became a mil spec, then it became normal. And of course, today, you look at how they perfected the chroming process. I mean, obviously, it's much better today than it was back then.
What are your final thoughts on the BRN 180 as far as the accuracy you got from it?
The accuracy was disappointing. It's certainly superior to any AK that's out there. Now, for as far as its suitability as a military rifle, oh, certainly. It was definitely well under 6 MOA. I mean, it was half that. It did not shoot as well as most ARs or any of the higher end type rifles. It's acceptable, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not an AR. Reliability is great. I didn't have any issues with it whatsoever. Um, it's just, I mean, the original AR 180 that I have and I've shot was more accurate than the BRN 180 that's being put out by Primary Weapons. I don't know. I don't know why. I was sort of glad to see that Mr. Guns and Gear saw the same thing. I wasn't just us. Both I shot it and Henry Chan, and if Henry Chan doesn't get a good group with it, it ain't him. It's definitely the gun.
Yeah, we had an interesting shout out on Instagram. Our numbers jumped up that day. We normally average about 100 new subscribers a day, and it jumped up to 300 that day. And I forgot what Instagram it was, but they had about 5 channels that were on the radar for channels that you should follow. And I just loved the cluster of it because it was 9-hole review, It was us. There were, I think it was In Range was in there,
Misha.
and then, well, wanted to mention the two big names too, and then Michiko. And so it was a funny little mashup considering Chris has become friends with Henry from Nine Hole and Michiko, and they're both good channels.
Yes.
Different. You mentioned how SOCOM was blowing barrels of the first M4s, but the current Mark 18 has the thinner barrel under the rail. Do they not blow those?
Those weren't being used the same way. The Also, shorter barrels don't get it. You don't have as much heat generated as you do with the longer barrels because you have more propellant burning. More and then longer barrels. The Mark 18s were used by specialty units. They were not a common. They were not common, and they certainly weren't used as support weapons. It was primarily the M4s, M4A1s, which basically were all standard M4 low profile type SOCOM low profile standard M4 barrels, which were not designed for sustained fire. I've never heard of an issue with a Mark 18 being used in that way. Again, I don't know everything, but that's one thing I've never heard anybody in SOCOM that I know complain about. There was a specific time period where they were having broken bolts and they were having these issues that they had to investigate to find out what was going on. And when it came out to be, is they're trying to make something do something it wasn't designed to do. If you wanted to make an M4 into a assault rifle, a primary weapon, it should have been the M4 SOCOM barrel all along, because that's suitable for it. It's not designed as a lightweight carbine for rear echelon folks. Once that M4 became a primary weapon or primary battle implement, it needed the SOCOM barrel to make it deal with the ambient temperatures, sustained fire, accuracy, and so forth.
A lot of people are saying yes to Black Rifle 2, a series. And Tyler says, listen to your wife and do it. So there you have it. He doesn't listen to me when it comes to gun videos, but the stuff that I produce and that I come up with is the stuff that people love. So you have to it's hard for him to think outside of that technical, box, which is great, but let's add some different stuff in there too. So thank you, TN. What's the difference between 6920 versus M4A1 SOCOM?
Well, basically the 6920 was a standard government M4 carbine with a 16.1-inch barrel. Same barrel profile, just longer. The M4A1 SOCOM, there's two of them we can discuss here. One is the actual military M4A1 SOCOM, which was a 14.5-inch, the heavy profile barrel with the slots for the 203 and fully automatic. Now, if you're referring to the commercial M4A1 SOCOM, that utilized the same, it was the same rifle, but it had a SOCOM profile barrel. So under the handguards, you would see it would be a heavy barrel with the slots for loading or for mounting a 203 grenade launcher. So it's basically a heavy barrel.
Where is the woman from? Is that supposed to be me? I'm just woman. Thank you, Mo. I acquired a government Beretta M9 slide that I rebuilt and mounted on a commercial M9 frame. Is this the closest I will ever get to a military M9?
Well, there's some other things that you would want to do to it. You would have the frame. I'm sorry, the slide would have the assembly number on it and the PM. Then you have an actual mil spec barrel. On the underside of the barrel, you'll have the assembly number, and then on the side, I believe it's the left side, you'll have the PM on it. Then the locking block would have a PM on it as well. And then on the frame, you could go ahead and get a military hammer, which would have an assembly number on it. And also the hand grips, both of them would have assembly numbers on them as well. Now the Beretta M9 Special Editions did have a properly marked frame. So it had the assembly numbers on it, and one of the hand grips came with the assembly number, and one didn't. So you would replace the one that on the left that needed it. But that's basically how you would make it as close as you can, is to replace those parts that had those assembly numbers on them.
Thank you, Pablo. Can you make a video building an AR to mil spec?
Well, it's not so much of a video; it's so much as your components. You have to have your components that are made to that specification. Now, again, a lot of the parts you have now well exceed it. a lot of times when you talk about mil spec nowadays, you're talking about a plain Jane gun. For example, one of the videos that's going to be coming up once I start getting all the guns in, I want to do one on a lower cost basic M4, which all these are going to be plain Jane GI M4 type guns. Well, they're going to have the standard handguards, the standard front sight. Basically, it's going to be a standard mil spec type. And I'm looking at having Aero Precision, Palmetto State. Um, what else? There's a whole bunch of some other ones I got. I think I have a Texas company here, Radical Firearms. I have one of those on the way. I got a Smith and Wesson here from Brandon over at the gun room, and I'm trying to get my hands on one of the Ruger AR 5.56s. And the other one I'm looking for is there's another one I'm looking for too, but these are going to be basically mil spec bare bones rifles. Again, most of what you see these days is you're well above that, but mil spec really generally means the quality of the components and the configuration, and the configuration is nothing special. It's basically just like the original Uncle Sam M4 carbine was.
Thank you, Anthony. Love y'all's work. Thank you. Any idea on the M885? God, I can't even read it anymore. The M855A1 video.
I originally was going to do a video, but due to the fact that there was so much information in numbers and some of the diagrams and so forth, I decided to write it up, and it's on our web page, and there's an entire write up on it that shows you diagrams, that shows you all kinds of stuff. That was something that it was harder to do in words because we want to look at various types of gel tests and all that kind of stuff, and uh, I thought it would be better. I got actual charts in there from when I did the actual testing on it for as far as the port pressures and the chamber pressures and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it'd be better as something that was in a written form than it was trying to do it verbally.
And that's on smallarmsolutions.com if you haven't seen that. Thoughts about the Army's new H&K M110A1, and do you think they should have selected a homegrown design from either LMT or Knights?
I am really shocked that HK got that. I really am. The original M110, you guys have probably heard me say it before. I talked to Trey Knight, Reed's son, and he had said that over the years they proposed well over 100 product improvement changes. They would get information that would come back from the field. They would get guns that would come back, and they would see, and they found all these different ways to make the gun better, to increase accuracy, to increase durability and reliability, and everything. The Army would never let them do anything. So when they did the M110C, they went ahead and made all those changes to improve it. As well as you had the LMT rifle that was in there as well. And I look at those two rifles and try to imagine what possibly the HK could do that those couldn't. And I'm still dumbfounded by it. For as far as costs, for as far as having an external piston, when it's been shown time and time again in precision rifles that internal piston is better. You have rifles that have a good support base for spare parts. For instance, if Knights burned down tomorrow and the Army needed parts, they could go to LMT to get parts. They could go to other companies and get parts. That's not the case with the M110C from H&K. That is an entire proprietary firearm. Every part is from H&K. So from a logistical standpoint, having a sole source like that and nobody else making anything for it, it sounds like a gamble to me. But there's a lot of contracts that get done that you have no idea how it was. But I do think that the KAC or Knights or LMT should have got that contract over H&K for any number of reasons. But who knows? But after how the military did the XM17 program, common sense is out the window.
I was just giving you a hard time. to the guy, well, his name's Oilies, to the guy who said who's the female. I was like, is he talking about me? He says he's new here and he apologizes. I am Mrs. HB. You can refer that as Heather Bartacci or head bitch in charge. I basically just take this guy and then give him to you. Yeah. He sits in front of the camera and I film it, edit it. I do all the social media.
She's the brains behind the whole thing.
So whichever you prefer. But glad to have you here. What's your preferred barrel twist for an AR-15?
1 and 7 because I like 77 grain OTM ammunition. The Mark 262 is my favorite load. And the fact is it'll allow you to go right up to 80 grain. If I was restricted to 62 grain, I probably would be much more happy with a 1 and 9. But considering my personal rifles, they mostly shoot Mark 262, and 1 and 7 is definitely better than a 1 and 9. 1 and 9 won't stabilize that. The 1 and 9, if you're going up to 69 grains, that's an excellent option. But just due to the fact that I use 77 grain, 1 and 7 is necessary.
Congrats to the guys in California. And did you hear? They're saying today that the ammo background check got squashed.
Wow.
I can't even believe an ammo background check. That's like insane.
Oh, I thought they had a law in California where you can't use lead anymore.
And then in New York, I heard that gun shops weren't essential businesses.
Of course.
I was like, not in Texas.
No.
They are essential. Liquor stores and gun stores are essential. Just don't mix the two.
And Mexican food, and in our case, we have the crawfish places as well.
Yeah, thank God for that. Thank God for you bring a cooler and fill it up.
Mm.
Yeah, Chris had his birthday on Saturday, so that's what he wanted. Do you think the USMC should have stayed with the SAMR or switched to the M38 DMR?
I never really used any of those the Marine SAMRs. I never did. I preferred the Mark 12. So I guess you probably talk to somebody who's used them. I'm very much sad that the Mark 12 is no longer in production. That rifle was responsible for a lot of excellent achievements for the guys who used them. Very, very well made. Accuracy was incredible. It was just an incredible weapon system. And for some reason, the Marine Corps never adopted those. You never saw them. You would have expected because Navy being SOCOM, Navy SOCOM used them. But that's one rifle I really can't give you too much information on because I never had my hands on one.
Pablo, I meant like how to assemble it to the tech manual. His
Buy my armor's manual.
question is, can you do a video building an AR to mill spec?
Well, as I said, it's I did one showing assembly for the Brownells series 1 through 3. And building it is not something you really want to do on a video. All you got to do is you go through the manual and make sure you do the proper torque specifications for the barrel nut, for the receiver extension. You need to make sure you do those things properly and use the anti-seize and all that kind of stuff. My manual explains all those military standards that it has to be done. At some point, I probably will do another build video. I was hoping to do that with Valtor, but unfortunately, the guy who I was working with at Valtor, he never got back to me. He doesn't respond to my emails anymore, so I don't know what's going on there. So at some point, I'll working up with somebody to give me some parts here, and I'll do another build video.
Walter wants to know an Aimpoint Pro, a Trijicon MRO, or an EOTech. Which one?
That's interesting. I have used all of those. The Aimpoint Pro is excellent. A red dot. It's got an incredible record behind it. The Trijicon MRO. You're looking at all three. The EOTech is holograph. It's a little bit different from the other ones. Wow, that's a rough one.
Marksman TV says Trijicon.
Yeah, I think you'd really have to just look at them and see what was best for you. I mean, I have all three, and if my money was going out,
gotta pick one, Chris.
I guess I probably would say the Trijicon.
But he's not happy saying that.
Yeah, it's hard.
So basically, what he's saying is you need all three of them.
All three are top tier.
Yeah.
You're looking at all three of the best of what's out there. And a lot of times, this stuff just comes right down to to what you like best. Or you just snipe somebody.
Oh, and somebody's very close to the edge. Adnan's in here. Hey, Adnan.
Hey, Adnan. I'm also going to be working on a video coming up on the Bren 2, the 806 Bren 2 pistol. I got the 14.5-inch barrel, and I just received one of the new handguards from HBI Industries, and it's longer than the ones that came out. And I have to say, anybody who has one, it's a must. It increases you from one M-lock slot to two or three. Um, it gives you so much more to hold on to, and be able to put some those rail protectors on there. What a difference that it made.
Thank you, Tad, over on Donor Box. Hi, Heather and Chris. Hope you two haven't succumbed to cabin fever yet. We have. Or Tiger King madness. Yes, both. My question is regards to gun fit. Every time I test out an AR-15, doesn't matter what brand, it always feels too short and cramped on me, even when the stock is all the way out. Yet with an AK platform, it just fits me better, even if the sights are worse. And your favorite rifle, the M14, fits me the best, and I prefer these sights the most. Would I be wrong for wanting an M1A because it's the most comfortable for me, or compromise with an AR-10?
Well, it's sort of interesting because the AKs are meant for very small statured people. Myself, they're not comfortable for me at all. A real Warsaw pack one is not. My arms are too long. Now the M4 carbines, on the other hand, six position, they are much better. Believe it or not, for me, a standard M16A2 stock fits me the best because I'm not wearing body armor. Um, we won't even get into the M14 shit. But I guess we really have to come down to, I mean, are you tall stature like I am, or are you shorter? Do you have short arms, long arms? You probably haven't found the right stock yet. If your issue is the F4, the M carbine or M4 carbine being too short for you, that stock, go take a look at the Voltor A5. That'll give you some extension on there. But really, AKs for someone who's tall and long arms, they just don't work for me. But I think it's really easy to come down to what your stature is and what's comfortable. I mean, for me, any of these, I'm used to pistol grip stocks now, so it's pistol grips. I'm not used to the regular type stocks like an M14 or an M18 or M1 Garand has anymore.
Oh, Thomas is on tonight. Hi, Thomas. Yeah, we haven't seen you in a while. Glad you could join us.
See, she recognizes all these names. I'm just used to her passing the questions over.
Will you be looking at the new Air Force issue M4 survival kit?
Yes. In fact, Misha Co. has already got one sent to me. Brandon has it over at the gun room. I just got to figure out how I can go over and pick it up from him. I've also got a new Centurion Arms Recce rifle over there. And there's something else that just came in as well. And don't recall which one it is. But yeah, I've always got stuff coming in for Brandon. But yes, count on it.
Thank you, Pablo. Was unaware of your book. Just bought it. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. If you want to send it to us and you want to lower its value by getting my signature, I'm happy to do it for you.
And number 2 is gone out.
That one bites the dust.
Now you have that song in my head. Can you do a video on the new Beretta TPR9?
I have to contact the company, see if I can get a pistol from them, but it's certainly something that we could take a look at. I've got a burst in here right now. It's the Thunder 380 for part of the crime series. Actually, of any of the crime guns I've had so far, that's probably the nicest quality one I've had so far.
Chris, I'm deploying to Kuwait for a year. Do you have a rifle you recommend where money isn't an object, 5,000 or less?
I'll tell you what I always said. If I had to go back, if I was going over for contract work, I would be getting a hold of Carl Lewis and telling him that I want him to build me an MRP 14.5 inch soaked with the enhanced bolt carrier group. With his stock on it, with his 2-stage trigger on it, and then I probably would get myself a VCOG and some Gen 3 PMags with windows. That's probably what I would want to deploy with. But I also would have no problems if you wanted to get your hands on a Colt 6944, which is their 14.5 inch rifle with the one-piece upper receiver. That is also an excellent rifle with the 14.5 inches. Of course, if you wanted to go shorter, you can do that with all those guns as well. I tend not to like to go any shorter. I like to keep the barrels 14.5 inches so I can maintain some terminal performance and some longer range. Um, and of course, the VCOG would be my preference. I think that's probably one of the best combat optics that's available today. It gives you your ability to have close quarters as well as the longer range that you would need, and it gives you about the range your carbine is going to be good for. And for as far as your ammunition is concerned, you're depending on who you're deploying with is what ammunition you're going to have as well. If you can get your hands on the 77 grain OTM Mark 262, that's perfect. Keep in mind that if you end up with M855A1, it's going to cut your life of your gun in half no matter what you buy.
If you guys could do me a favor and click the thumbs up, it helps the channel, it helps the feed, and super easy. Thanks. What is the recommended barrel for a 5.56 SBR? 10.5, 11.5, or 12.5?
Well, here's the thing. The longer you have distance from the gas port to the muzzle, the better, more time you have the system pressurized, the less open you have to have your gas port, less gas, and your action is going to be a little bit more balanced. So ideally, the 12.5 would be all around best. 11.5, good. In fact, Colt never wanted to build the 10.5s or 10.3s because they felt that that was too short and you had to open your gas port up too much and it would cause a higher cyclic rate. Colt only wanted to ever make Commandos, 11.5 inch, but since SOCOM requested the 10.5 or 10.3, they ended up going that route. The longer the better for as far as reliability is concerned. If you're looking at just, and anything below that is a no.
I have a few questions asking about what is next in the gun series, the Crime Gun series.
That will be the Bricos, the Jennings, and the Jimenez.
All in one video?
Yes, because they're all intertwined.
So what are we going to unbox?
They're going to unbox the most popular ones, the ones that
Okay.
gave me nightmares.
Okay, that's fun. Love that. When that box came in from Brandon from the gun room, Chris had a little PTSD from crime lab days.
And he just got me a Lorson too.
Love that, Brandon. Thank you so much. What are the LMT and WSs regularly in stock at? Where are they in stock at?
I would give LMT a call directly to order. They're pretty backed up right now with some military contracts, and either get it directly from them or have them recommend some place for you to go. The nice thing about them is that you can customize it when you call them too. Tell them what you want.
Do you think the OA-93 would have been successful if it was made long before or after the 1994 AWB?
Well, everything, afterwards. I mean, if you look at that time period between September 1994 and September 2004, a lot of companies weren't doing as much in R&D because they couldn't sell it. Once September 2004 hit, and everything started going again, that was just the biggest boom in development and new weapons platforms, not to mention improving upon old. So anything that started up after the assault weapon ban had better chances than anything. And plus you had all those years of the M4 from 95 to 2004, it's first being used in a global war on terror. There was a lot of lessons learned from it. And then you had companies like LMT and Knights and some other companies who improved upon that design. So yeah, anything. There was just a big boom after the ban sunset.
Is LPVO the future preferred site for U.S. military?
Don't know. The most strange thing about the U.S. military is scopes are very personal. You do have stuff that's issued, but you have a lot more guys who are going to go out and they're going to get their own. Generally with the squad level or company credit cards or whatever, because they have that discretion. So a lot of it comes down to personal preference too. So LPVO one, it's certainly one of the most popular, but I think you're still going to see your U.S. optics. You're still going to see other Leopolds. You're going to see Trichet. I mean, you're going to see right across the board, Schmidt and Bender, Steiner.
H-bar or pencil profile?
Depends on what you're doing with it. If you're looking for something just to carry, as a carry, or as a lightweight type rifle, pencil barrel. It's if you're looking for something for sustained fire or accuracy, more accuracy, you're looking at a heavy barrel. With the carbines, what most of us are going to use them for, pencil barrel, standard M4 profiler is fine. A lot of times, it's when you start seeing fully automatic fires when you see a lot more of the benefits of the heavier barrels, or you're coming from an area where you have a really high ambient temperature outside. Um, Accuracy, of course, you're always going to have a little better with the heavy barrel.
Thank you, Matt. What is your favorite 5.45 round for home defense?
This one. This is a new. It's a round coming out of Hornady. I believe it's a 90 grain VMAX or AMAX. It's designed specifically for varmints. However, when it comes to human type targets, it works very, very well. Um, in fact, this round here is in a brass case. Hornady is the first company in history to make a 5.45 case out of brass. I just got some ammunition in to go out and test. I haven't only got to the range because of the quarantine here, but they have been loading up this round in their steel cased ammunition for quite some time, and is an excellent round. It's probably the most accurate 5.45 round I've ever seen as well. Um, I don't recommend ever using a ball round for self defense unless you're in the military. You don't have a choice. We don't have that worry here as civilians. We can use whatever we want, and this would be a very destructive round.
Hmm.
Are we allowed to show ammunition, or is it just not good?
Yeah, he doesn't like that. No, he doesn't like that he can't show. Yeah, you just can't show like high capacity magazines like you tried to do last time, and firearms. Thank you. MP5, BNT, APC 9, or SIG MPX for defense.
Now that is an interesting question, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have very strong opinions on these. You have your people who love history. They love the lure of the MP5. I'm not an MP5 fan. The human engineering on it sucks. You being able to use the safety doesn't lock up on the last shot. The way you got to reload it, it's not human friendly at all. The APC 9, I don't think one way or the other. I like the MPX. I think the MPX is probably one of the most advanced submachine guns or SBR pistol calibers that are out there. It's piston driven. It's got a lock breech, both pluses. You also have the bolt catch and the magazine catch, same place as the AR-15. It's easy to get to. You got a good trigger. You have a excellent magazine that just drops free and pops right back in. Your bolt locks open on your last shot. All the ergonomics and speed is there. So I would say the MPX, and I have one. That's my favorite of all my 9mm SBRs.
So, what did everybody do with their stimulus checks? You'll have to plop that down and tell us what your plans are if you don't even have it yet. But I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
I spent a lot of money on magazines. I'm getting ready to do a review for you guys on
You
Feeding the
did.
Black Rifle. And I've got, with the exception of a couple, every magazine that's available in the industry today.
Well, it was funny. He told me he was going to be making, like 2 or 3 orders, and then I looked into the account and I was like, "Oh my God, Chris!" Like because it was so many different places and so many different amounts. I don't think people realize um, what goes into making a video. It's a lot.
Believe me, I spent far more on these magazines than anything we're going to make on for as far as revenue on it. But I wanted to show pretty much, even the cheap garbage magazines. So far, of all the ones that I found, there's only 2 that I've been unable to get, and those are 2 of the really cheap garbage ones. I'm still trying, but everything is sold out. I even got so you guys can take a look at the new HK Gen 2 magazine, and those were $60. Arms Unlimited is selling those things after your newborn. HK didn't even when they sold the Gen 1s, they didn't jack the prices up that much. But Arms Unlimited is the only company bringing the HK magazines into the country, so they can put those nasty price tags on them. But this is going to give you a look. I'm not abusing these magazines. I'm taking them to the range. I'm firing them. Some of them are going to be fired on full auto. The higher capacity ones, you'll see all that stuff.
Somebody said they spent $1,200 in toilet paper. That's insane. Yeah, you want to tell them what we bought?
What's up? Oh, are the chickens?
Yeah, we bought chickens.
Chickens, a garden.
Yeah, we put in like a garden to be more self-sustaining. So, and we bought magazines. Some say SIG rifles are poor quality. Are they?
Everything that I've gotten in from SIG has been top notch. Now there has been some issues with not so much with quality. With they had to make some revisions. One of the things you have to take into consideration is if you look at SIG's overall, SIG is putting out more new products a year probably than anybody else out there today. All military and law enforcement type products. So they're very active in R&D, very active in testing, and they're listening to the customers and they're putting out what they want, what the customer wants. And so sometimes things do skip through. Anybody who's worked in manufacturing knows that you put that drill bit in the morning, and then at the end of the day, it's worn. So you have those stack of tolerance issues, or there could be something that they didn't think of to test. There's a lot of things that can happen, but it's not like you have a company like Colt, for instance, who isn't doing jack shit. And then they do one thing in years, and it's a Python, and it don't work. But you're looking at a company like SIG, who is just putting out new models of everything, and their quality must be pretty damn good because of the military contracts that they're getting. They're really hitting heavy with government contracts, and now you look at the new 6.8 program, what they're doing with that. So I think a lot of companies, any company can have a bad product. It doesn't matter how good your process is. You have that Monday morning or that Friday afternoon rifle, or you have a tool that wore nobody knew about it, or anything can happen. So I'm not as critical on companies that are actively doing research as I am the ones who aren't doing nothing. That they put something out and it don't work. Well, that's all they're working on.
For Duck and Cover, your magazine video disappeared that you made for your previous channel. I did not upload that to the new channel because of the new, much heavier restrictions that YouTube gave. We're not allowed to show high capacity magazines or drum magazines. So, and of course, those were in that video. That video is available, I think, on BitChute and Full 30.
Yeah. And the thing that sort of sucks about this too is I have those magazines for this. I have drum magazines. I have coffin magazines. I have another one I want to do a video on, the Torque magazine. I just got those in, and they're pretty fascinating with two springs. They have a standard magazine spring in the rear, and they have a spring attached to the top of the magazine. It's sort of like a tape measure. The way it has that, it rolls out and then comes back up in, which totally prevents any kind of tilt. And it also will work well with the 300 blackout. So I'm looking forward to go out and testing those and doing one on those specifically. You look at the content creators right now; they're still putting out stuff on high capacity magazines. We're still using full autos out there, so it's just hard to know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I would like to follow the rules because we know what happens. Well, even when you follow the rules, what happens? ML, thank you. Hi. In your AR cleaning video, you stated that you saw a bore snake scratch up a barrel. What kind of barrel, and would this affect accuracy or anything?
It was a regular mil-spec M4 chrome moly vanadium chrome-plated barrel, and it's not so much the accuracy that it would damage. It would strip the chrome, and it would cause corrosion. And it scores. You don't want to score the barrel. You put a copper brush through a barrel. Barrel steel and chrome is far harder than copper. When you put a barrel in there that is strong enough to where it actually will score, you're scraping, and to be able to see that, you're seeing that it's removing material. And these are good. That was a good mil spec barrel that we were doing those tests on. So the bore snake is not one of my favorite things. If you're gonna you do it, you get yourself an Otis. What does Otis call those things? No, ripcord. And if you want to put a brush through it, you put a regular Otis a copper brush on there, and it will scrub that barrel out, and it will not damage it.
Blitz over on Donor Box. Thank you, Blitz. What are your thoughts on dead weight buffers like spikes? And he said, belated happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Well, when you have, this would be referred to by dead weights, there's a few different kinds of buffers out there right now. To get through things cheaply, you're seeing buffers come out that are an H2 weight. Instead of having a two tungsten and one steel weight in there, they have a single slug that's the same weight as an H2, which does great, except for if you're using a full auto, you're going to get bolt carrier bounce. because you don't have that in there. So semi-automatic rifles, I guess, doesn't matter as much. Um, you also have the ones that use the tungsten powder, Sig on their selective fire. HK puts them in all of them. Caracal puts them in all of them, which is by far the best because tungsten powder does a wonderful job of bolt carrier bounce, stopping all that and everything. However, myself, I tend to like to stick with either the standard mil specs sliding weights. Um, the tungsten powder ones are relatively expensive. So I guess I really haven't spent the money to go out and buy those specifically. I know what buffers go with what type of a barrel, and I go with that. The dead weight with the slug in it, I don't mess with those. In fact, me and Brandon went out to the range a while back. He just got two lower receivers, full out lower receivers. He's an SOT, and took him out and shot him. All of a sudden, it wouldn't work on full auto. He says, "Well, they're H2s." Well, as soon as I pulled him out, I shook him, and wait a minute, there's no noise. So I happen to have an H2 buffer in the rifle that I had. I had an external piston gun, threw it in there. The thing worked like it was supposed to. It shot beautifully. So people are getting H2 buffers, not even realizing that they're not going to work in your full autos. H2, they're looking at the weight, where there's more to buffer than just the weight. It's the sliding weights with the rubber discs in there that give the momentum going back and forth and absorb that shock, so you don't have that bounce.
Brandon on Donor Box. Thank you, Brandon. Thinking of ordering a Centurion Arm C4 mid-length cutout with an FSB, billet upper lower, and mid-length barrel from them, or mid-weight barrel from them.
Mhm.
Thoughts on this, or getting a Sig Virtus MCX? Virtus. I always get that one wrong.
Quite frankly, the Centurion probably will be less expensive. You're going to have all your parts that are going to be mill standard, so you'll be able to maintain it if the company goes out of business and parts don't become available. The barrels that you get from Ronnie over at Centurion are going to be cold hammer forged, chrome plated. He also offers stainless steel, and he does absolute gorgeous work. And plus, if you buy the barrel from him, he will drill and pin your front sight base for you as well. So, say you buy the barrel from him, you'll send him whatever front sight base, or he'll put whatever gas block, whatever hell you want. He'll put it on as well and not charge you for it if you buy it stuff from him. And as you know, that's one of my big pet peeves is having drilled and pinned front sight bases.
We do have codes for Centurion. I've never heard a bad thing about Centurion.
No,
So
and you never will.
we are happy that they're only one of 3 places that we offer codes for, and there's 3 separate codes for them. So if you do decide to order from them, these codes will save you quite a bit of money. It's 3% off complete rifles, 5% off uppers and lowers, and then 10% off everything else that's on their website. So we're happy to work with them because they do quality work.
And you will see coming up, the next few weeks or so, a review on their new Recce rifle, which is a heavy barrel, more designed more for accuracy. They have their standard barrels, which are more of combat barrels, but these are more for the accuracy.
And I apologize if you hear any dogs yelping in the background. They're not being abused. They're locked into a room right now because of the chickens being small. They're in the living room in a pen, and if not supervised, the dogs are about to take the chickens out. So,
Yeah, Yorkies think their squealing is like a mouse or a rat, which is what that breed's designed to kill.
Bunny, sorry it got so took a while to get your question. What's the best affordable PCC pistol to run suppressed in AR9?
There's a lot. There are some nice ones out there. I mean, obviously, you guys know I'm a Glock person. I've been doing a lot of messing around with the IWI Masada, and I'm very, very pleased with that. The Kinnick is another. Everybody tells me I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the Kinnick is another excellent lower cost personal defense pistol. There are obviously there's you guys who like the Smith & Wesson M&Ps. But two ones that I definitely would have you take a look at would be the Kinnick and the Magpul. I'm sorry, the IWI Masada. Now the Masada, I'm not sure how that works for as far as threaded barrels. I'm sure they have one. The Masada does have RMO. You can just come up with a plate you put off, and you can put on your Turgicon or your whatever you have that your sights you want to put on the slide. 1913 rails. They all have all that.
Patrick, thanks for answering my question on the BRN 180. I love mine and love your channel, man. Thanks.
Pleasure. Now, speaking of BRN 180, I had a conversation with Roy over over at Brownells the other day. They're going to be coming out with a stock that is the exact same thickness and profile of the original AR-180 to go on their lower receiver. So that means you will be able to have a stock that'll go along with that, which will make your rifle look that much more authentic. I'm not sure at this point when they're going to do it. Obviously, this COVID-19 thing has, got them working at Skeleton Crew. Hell, you got the owner Pete Brownells down there helping fill orders as well. But you will be seeing a new stock. I'm looking forward to that myself because right now I got the stock that my MCX came with, the side folding one that's more of a fixed. Well, not fixed, but it doesn't telescope. It's a solid piece that folds. That's what I got in there right now.
Eric says, yes, please do a video on Black Rifle book. Anyone who doesn't have it, get it. Can't say enough about that book, and keep up the great videos. So thank you guys for helping me out, because I feel like that's the only way it's going to help. Like solidify my idea when I have a video idea is if you guys apply some pressure and say, yes, we would like that.
Well, you guys, I just got found from my publisher that Collector Grade Publications still got 52 books from the third run, I believe it was. And you can get those directly from collectorgrade.com, and they don't charge you $100. They give you the same price they always have, the $69.99. So I know they got 52 left. I'm a little concerned with the future of the book because Blake had passed. His wife's doing it now, and I don't know if she's going to be ordering books or not.
She's not a young woman either.
No. So I'm a little concerned this book's going to be going out of print. I don't know. It's sort of frightening, even though it's one of their best-selling books. I don't know if she's going to be reordering them or not.
Have you asked her?
I have not really spoken to her since Blake passed. But I can't see her doing this forever, and I know there's some people who tried to purchase Collector Grade Publications from her, and she didn't want to sell it. There's no new titles. She's just selling which titles that they do have, and I don't know if she's going to be ordering it again or not.
I'm sure it's probably still very raw and a hard time for her.
I know,
but maybe I'll reach out to her and see if she can give some indication on the future of a reprint.
I just haven't wanted to bug her with it,
Yeah. Jay, thank you. Thoughts on Nemo BCG or Fail Zero for AR-15 build?
Well, the Nemo that I'm familiar with is the one that they have in the 300 Win Mag. But for as far as the Fail Zero is concerned, that's nickel boron. That's the original UCT. As you guys know, I am far more interested in. I like chrome and I like black nitride. Those are my two favorite ones. The Fail Zero, you can't use solvents on them, or you get rid of the luster and it starts to get sticky. You have rules on what kind of solvents you can use and oils you can use on those things to keep them from tarnishing and keep them from getting sticky rather than slippery. I'd be more interested in getting a good chrome plated carrier, or going with something that's black nitride, Rubber City Armory, or Brownells, or Aero Precision, something along those lines. In fact, I would even go with even the manganese phosphate sometimes over the nickel boron. I've used them for too long, and I've seen too much with them that I don't like about them. People swear by them, absolutely, but I like something that's impervious to solvents and all that kind of stuff. And the nickel boron is not that. The chrome is. The black nitride is.
Steve says he's still waiting for the Labrador review video.
I know that's.
I think he's been telling you that for a while, Steve. I know he has.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get on that. I will. Yeah, that's something we may consider in our next range trip, because I will be bringing it out anyways.
I don't want to go out for that one. That Labrador, nobody wants to go out with the Labrador.
A lot of talking in that one.
Yeah. Bunny, save money building an AR-9 or spend big on a Scorpion, etc.
I'm not really as much of a Scorpion fan. I prefer my SIG MPX over that, but that's obviously your choice. Now, for as far as the 9mm are concerned, I'm doing reviews now on the CMMG Banshee pistol, and I'm tending to like that a lot more than a lot of things I'm seeing right now. I like the rail delay blowback. I like using it suppressed. You'll see the details in an upcoming video. That's starting to work its way really up in my opinion and my recommendations. equal to some of these other ones, including the MPX and the Scorpion. Definitely over the regular blowback type guns.
What's the best suppressor for a 9 millimeter semi-auto?
You really can't say that because they are all the ones that are pretty much out there are excellent. They range, it's really the ranging in prices. They all perform pretty similarly. Um, so it's hard to say which the best. I'll tell you what I use. I'm a Silencer Go fan. I use the Silencer Co suppressors a lot, and also in 9, um, I believe it's called the Pilum by Atlas Defense. I use that one quite a bit as well. I've got some new Silencer Co's coming in. I got the let me see. I got the new. I forget the names of the two new ones now. There's two newer models that I'm going to be getting in from them that are convertible, where you can do many different calibers. I got those coming in, but I use Silencer Co. Now, will you do bad with Yankee Hill? No. Will you do bad with Gemtech or Surefire or something like that? No, you'll do quite well. Just my personal, I prefer using the Silencer Co's.
Carrie says, I got the word that Robinson Arms will be introducing a PCC XCR that uses Glock mags.
Don't know. I haven't talked to Alex in quite some time. Last I talked to Alex, what he was really talking about was doing a bring back of his Stoner 63. That's what I talked to. I don't know about I haven't heard anything about that yet. But not saying that's not true. I just haven't heard about it. I don't know everything.
My friend is building an AR with an 18.5-inch barrel, and it's 1.9 pounds. And he bought a Voltor A5, but the site didn't specify the buffer weight. Turned out to be standard carbine. Would he be better off with an H buffer?
For that, an H or an H2, H or an H2. You have to see the profile of the barrel, but with a rifle length gas system on it, you definitely want to increase that weight a little bit.
What's your preferred magazine for an AR, and are Lancer mags worth the extra coin?
Well, you're going to see a whole 2-part series on that coming up. My preference, I am a Magpul is my number one choice, the PMag Gen 3s. That is my favorite magazine of them all. Lancer will come in at number 2. And number 3 will be OK Industries for the aluminum. And number 4 would be Steve Products Defense. They're steel magazines. That's my list. Now, for as far as Lancer's concerns, the Lancer, the Advanced Warfighter magazines, absolutely. The original L5s, well, you can't really buy them anymore, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But the AWMs are certainly one of the best magazines on the market. There's absolutely no question whatsoever. I tend to like the PMags because the polymer is stronger, and polymer, if you were to drop a polymer magazine, it doesn't have memory. So if the feed lip was to get pushed in, it would pop right back out, or it would break. Where with steel or aluminum, if you drop that, it has memory. It'll bend. That's the way it's going to stay. And sometimes you won't notice that until you try shooting it and you get a malfunction. Where if you drop a PMag and it breaks, your bolts are going to go all over the place. It's not going to happen at the last minute. Now, some people like steel better than aluminum because steel's a little bit easier if you do have bent Phillips to bend them back, whatever. But that's probably my top 4. Those other ones that are certainly good. I mean, quite frankly, going through these magazines, there's a shit ton of them are really good magazines. There's just so much to choose from. There are some that are suitable for range use, but I would not put them in any real world situations. And it's something else that I've learned going through all these magazines is you have a lot of magazine manufacturers who make for other companies on with their name on them, and they may change a little bit in the mold, but you may see that. In fact, you'll see the Israeli magazines, the Ultimag, that's used by another company, a company made in Sweden. You have some other magazines that are the same. You're going to find out with OK Industries that they make for most of the major manufacturers. They make magazines for them. You'll see their code on there, but you'll see a a floor plate with LMT or Colt or whoever's name on the bottom. So you'd be surprised. You're gonna be surprised when you see the cage codes and find out who's making magazines for who.
Just taking them out right and left.
Wow, what's going on?
Just got my copies of your Armor's Manual and collection of writings. Was a little leery of the cost, but they exceed the price and value, full color, and extremely detailed. Thanks for the info.
Oh, glad you like them.
Yeah, the collection of writings that are pretty massive. They're between 300 and 400 pages, and Chris is very adamant about them being in color. And we only make about $3 per book, but it's just because they cost so much to print.
Yeah, color printing is expensive.
I'm glad that you felt like it was worth it. Saz is a great channel, but very expensive. I had to buy a Galil Ace and then a Caracal and the KS-47.
But the question is, are you happy with your purchases?
We all love Heather Show Yourself. Everyone should be on.
We try.
Patreon.
We try.
Yes.
Even our airman there tries to get her too all the time.
Sometimes you see me. Let's see. Trying to get through some of the conversations. Centurion CHF upper or BCM CHF upper in the codes. I put the codes in there already. Ready.
There's nothing wrong with BCM. I am a Centurion fan first and foremost. Monty does incredible work. It's a veteran-owned business. He does a lot of the design work himself, and he stands by everything. And excellent cold hammer forge he sells. The services that he offers, like the drilling and pinning, are important to me. And he's a friend. He's a close friend. So I'll always send people over to him.
Scott just joined Patreon.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And he joined at the $10 level, which, if you are not aware, once a month, Chris sits down and he actually does that by himself. So far, I think you do a pretty good job. I haven't heard anything negative because it's a much smaller group in there. Generally 10, 15 people at a time.
Every question gets answered.
There's no donations. Nobody gets to jump in front of anybody else. So he just...
we start.
So that's why I allow him to do it, because, dealing with 2, 3, sometimes even 400 people at once, he wouldn't be able to navigate. But that's a smaller group and he can delve into things a little bit more. And
I'm smart man, but I know how to do Patreon.
If the scheduled time that I put up for that Q&A doesn't work out for you, I also allow you to submit your questions so that you can go back and watch the Q&A later and have your questions be answered. And so, Scott, we haven't done it for April yet, so you get to join that one for April. So, Bunny, thank you. Are the Ronnie brace adapters for Glocks any good? Can
you pull up a picture of it? I think I know what it is, but let me make sure. Most of the time when you put braces on pistols, it turns them into SBRs.
And for a Glock, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Never used one. Never used one. I really couldn't give you anything worthwhile on that. It's just, to me, you're making a pistol that's supposed to be easy and controllable and trying to turn it into a carbine. And there's better options for carbines than that.
Thoughts on Manta Defense M-Lock covers. Also, why is Manta Defense seems so underrepresented? SAS is like the first and only channel I've ever seen them on.
Well, here's the thing. When they first came out, this has to be 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Before YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
Long before that.
Yeah.
I was out there with a friend. We were doing some stuff for a foreign customer, and we stopped off at their shop and saw it and noticed it was really, really expensive. So, what makes these things so great? So we went in the back. He took a torch and the things didn't burn. And then we did a whole bunch of shooting and you could hold the thing. And then I shot 3 magazines out of a suppressed rifle with one of their covers on the suppressor. I was able to hold the rifle by that suppressor cover. and saw this is some of the best stuff out. It's best stuff available. Your hand doesn't slip on it and everything. And when they started getting it on the civilian market, people want cheap, not realizing that what you're getting with a Manta rail, you're not just getting a protector. You're getting something that protects your hands from the heat. Most of the time, these protectors they protect the rail from being damaged. They don't really do that great for heat. Sometimes the heat will go right through them. Ladder covers, you'll still get the hot handguard through the slots that are not covered. Um, the other ones can melt when you're using them with full auto. But people want cheap. They look at something that's expensive. They really don't know what it is. They're thinking of just a regular old cheap rail protector, not realizing that when your gun gets hot, you can have your rail 500 degrees, 400 degrees, 300 degrees. You're going to maintain around 70 degrees on that rail protector. Where if you have anything else, it's still going to be too hot to handle, and you can still even start to melt. And also the fact is you have little clips that are built into that. So even if your rails don't conform to 1913 standards, you can still bend them to keep everything so it won't come off. So you had all these benefits on them, but it's a proprietary rubber that they use in other industries for high temperature, the high temperature and insulators and whatnot. So trying to sell them on the commercial market, trying to get people to spend the money just had not worked well for them. They couldn't. You had to be educated on what it was to understand the benefits to it. Military customers were different. Um, Military customers, when they start doing destruction tests on the guns and getting the guns really hot, you throw them on there and they see how much of a difference it makes for them for as far as being able to rifle and still be able to use it without having to hold it by the magazine or whatever. They see those benefits. They saw the benefits so much that they had asked Manta to make one that would go around a 50 BMG barrel. So when they changed out barrels to be able to hold on to the barrel as they pulled it out. So you had a sleeve that went onto there. Before you could only hold it by the handle, and you had to have an asbestos glove. Well, putting this on here made that difference. And the same thing with the suppressor sleeves. You had a lot of guys who would have suppressors. They'd be shooting them, whether it be law enforcement or something would be hot, and they would, the suppressor would touch their tactical pants and it would melt them. And it became a problem. And most of the suppressor covers would melt on the barrels. It would, you'd be able to see a lot of mirage coming off of them. Well, when you put the suppressor sleeve on from Manta, you didn't have the mirage. And if it hit your pants, it didn't get hot enough, no matter what they did with it, to get it to burn. So the military and the law enforcement customers, it was easy for them to understand the benefit of this and for them to buy. And Manta just had no luck getting people to understand. This is not your average rail protector. That's why it has not been as successful through the commercial areas. They're a very successful military. They've had sales all over the country. In fact, I brokered a deal with Caracal. They had some rifles that they made, several thousand rifles that they sold over 300,000 of those rail protectors that went for military use for a Middle East customer. So unfortunately, that's why you see it for me, is because I've been there. I've seen what the stuff does. I've tested the hell out of the stuff. And I think it's the best one that's out there. And I don't care what it costs. If I want the best, I want the benefit of being able to hold on to a hot handguard. How many of you guys have, scars and things like that, or any kind of a rail system that you don't have a vertical pistol grip for, but you can only hold it for so long because the handguard gets too hot. Well, they have wraparounds that go around, rails as well to protect your hands. So they have all solutions for all your different problems.
This Q&A is brought to you by Manta. No, he's consistent with the same people that he's had a lot of experience with from the very beginning. So it's like with G96, he's been using it since
my whole life.
He could walk and talk and fire a gun, and
plus they still make the best stuff in the industry.
And with Manta, he really got in with the company as far as like seeing their products early on
and doing independent testing.
Yeah, before YouTube and before all this other stuff. So,
yeah.
And Centurion is a company that we can be proud to, stand behind and know that nobody's going to say, oh, this is junk. And the same with G96. Nobody's like, oh, this is junk, or Manta, this is junk. That's why we don't have a lot of like affiliate with companies.
I'm going to tell you a quick little story about Monty. I want to tell you what kind of.
But we do have a code for Manta,
Yes.
and I'm going to plug it in here too in case anybody's interested, because you do save 20% off, and we're all thinking about our money and saving as much money as possible. So it's SAS 20. If anybody does want to try that out, at least you could save 20% off, and I think that you'll like it.
I want to give you just to show you what kind of a guy Monty is from Centurion. As you guys know, he's a recently retired Navy SEAL. One of the gentlemen I used to work with as a forensic scientist, he has 4 children, very heavily involved in shooting sports. In fact, one of his daughter just graduated from Army basic training, and his one son is graduating from OCS for the Marines. And his youngest son, his name is Curtis. He is chomping at the bit to get into enlist in the Army or Navy. I forget which one. This kid is absolutely incredible shot. I've been watching him for probably 5-6 years, shoot CMP and all that kind of stuff. And the rifle he had was sort of outdated, and it's a very expensive sport. And he's part of the Navy Sea Cadets. So his dad was Army Reserves, served active duty Army. And I told Monty, I said, I know this kid. He is absolutely incredible. His commitment is like you cannot believe. Would you be interested in building him a rifle he could compete with the CMP? And Monty was like, yes, absolutely. And then when the rifle was done, I said to him, would you being a retired Navy SEAL will probably mean the world to him if you would like to put your Trident logo on it and say something. So he put the Trident logo, and he said, to Curtis from Monty LeClaire, and he had his Trident. So when this kid got this rifle, he had a competition rifle that was built by a Navy SEAL. It was just a freaking greatest thing, for this kid. And Monty didn't charge a set. So that's the kind of a guy Monty is.
Yeah, we've talked about having him come out and do videos
He will
too.
be.
Now that we have a slightly larger house, we did add the chicken, so I don't know how much room we have now.
He will be. You guys can bank on
Yeah.
that. He was going to come out earlier, but then the coronavirus.
I know so many things stopped.
He had a stop in Florida, and then he was going to come here, but that all got canceled because of it.
I love this one. Hi guys, love the videos. Very informative. Bill from Canada, where owning a BB gun is tough.
Canada, hey, guess what? You have a video coming up in another week or two on Dimaco, on the history of your C7 and C8 weapons platforms that are used by the Canadian military. So we hope that's going to take off in another week or two.
Bryce wants to know, what gun should I buy when I get out of basic?
Well, you're going to be awfully familiar with a regular M4 carbine when you get out of basic. And I tell you, there's something about familiarity. You're going to go through probably AIT, depending on what you're going to be doing. You're going to get all that muscle memory down for using that M4. You're going to want to get the same thing that you used, because all that training you have is going to apply to your personal gun as well. So you may very well want to look at something that's very similar to what you learn on.
Walter wants to know, is G96 gun treatment bad since it's petroleum based?
No, it's
Isn't their CLP a better product since it's synthetic?
That's what I would recommend, is their CLP, and the G96 gun treatment for preservative, for lubricant and cleaning and preserving, their CLP, their bio, and then for as far as solvent, they have a military grade bore cleaner that they also sell to the U.S. military. This is the best stuff that's available. Living in Texas where you have humidity, maybe once every month or two, I'll spray down all my guns, just to make sure that there's no rust. And I've never had any rust on anything that I have. And I'm in probably one of the worst areas you can.
Really? Texas?
Yep. It's very, it causes a lot of things to rust.
Yeah. Adnan wants to know about the LMT enhanced BCG, more specifically their quote unobtainium finish. Was that proprietary material ever utilized on the whole carrier itself or on other parts of their firearm?
No, you wouldn't want to. It will be a complete waste of money to make the carrier out of that, because the carrier is not under any kind of stress. The stress is all on the bolt, itself. So no, that would be a waste of money to change out the carrier.
Well, guys, if you have any questions outside of this chat, we do email responses 7 days a week. All we ask is that you make a donation to the channel, and that helps us move forward and keep going and making videos and paying for all the magazine. I was going to say magazine purchases. But yes, and Waterburger, because we have to have Waterburger on Q&A days. Otherwise, he gets grouchy. But you can use that donor box linked. It's in the description boxes, and it's in the chat as well. You can send me an email separately if you have a lot you need to go into, and some people like to send photos. So that's always available to you guys. We hope you guys stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And for our Patreons, we should see you probably in a few days.
Thank you
Or
very
you'll
much.
see him in a few days.
You guys stay safe.